Okay, welcome back to the Manggcast, where our motto is, hey, at least we're not pixels. It is Saturday, July 25th, and we've got some things to talk about. It actually took me a long time to gather up all the articles. I don't know why, it just took a while for me to look through everything this week. Which you'd think there'd be a lot of stuff, but, well, I guess there's a bit more than usual. Alright, so getting into video game news, first off is happening this week, starting tomorrow, Sunday, July 26th, and going through August 1st, is Summer Games Done Quick, SGDQ, which happens over on Twitch. You can watch it all week if you've never seen one of the Games Done Quick events. Basically what happens is a whole bunch of people get together at a hotel or whatever conference center, and they speedrun games live for the purpose of gathering donations for a good cause, for a charity. And so the whole thing is live streamed, and there's all sorts of incentives and little events, and yeah, but mostly it's just a lot of games being speed ran. Awesome Games Done Quick, AGDQ, is done in, I want to say January. Don't quote me on that, but it's done in the winter months. I think that is the slightly bigger event, but SGDQ is more or less the same thing. They have the full schedule up on their website. You can look what is going to be happening during the week. I've been looking through it. There's nothing I'm crazy excited about. Apparently somebody is going to be doing a speedrun of Digimon World. So I kind of want to see that. I like the Mega Man block. Usually I like watching that. Somebody's doing a speedrun of Ori and the Blind Forest. You know I'm going to watch that. That sounds awesome. A lot of games just get speedrun like every event. Like they're just kind of, they get redone over and over, and it's just kind of, some people watch just everything. They watch the whole thing. For me, I kind of like to cherry pick games that I'm really interested in, or if there's certain speedrunners that I really enjoy watching, I'll do that. There's apparently an Earthbound speedrun. Yeah, I mean, you can look at the whole schedule if you're curious. Usually there's a bunch of Zelda stuff being speedrun. Apparently Fallout is being speedrun, and Fallout 3 is being speedrun, which is cool. I don't know why Fallout 2 is not being speedrun. I think a Fallout speedrun takes like 15 minutes. Like it's not, it's not a huge deal. That's cool. Dark Souls 2 is being speedrun, estimated at 1 hour and 30 minutes. And there's an incentive for it to be done with 2 players on 1 controller, which sounds really intense. The incentives usually get hit, so that sounds really exciting. And then there's going to be a Super Metroid race, which is always exciting. It's usually like the most exciting thing. And I guess like one of the big final events is a Chrono Trigger speedrun with Essentia and Puexel. So that should be really cool. I watched the Final Fantasy VI speedrun. I think that was last year. So yeah, Summer Games Done Quick. Cool stuff. Looking forward to it. Moving on, though. Speaking of Fallout, Bethesda just announced the Fallout Anthology collection. It is $50. You can pre-order it now. You'll be charged immediately, but I guess you'll get it by the end of September. It is Fallout 1, 2, Fallout Tactics, Fallout 3, and Fallout New Vegas. All for PC. And it all comes in a little mini nuke container. So it's just a container that holds all the cases, and it looks like a mini nuke. And there's a little top that goes on it, and so it all covers it all up. And I guess if there's a button on top of the mini nuke that if you push, it makes like an exploding sound or something. So yeah, I kind of need to have it. I think I absolutely it needs to be in my home and around me. Even though I own all these games, some of these games I've purchased multiple times, but in a mini nuke, that's new. So yeah, $50. How can you go wrong? I mean, some of the greatest games ever made. Yeah. So I mean, I wish I guess that they were kind of updated, but I guess that's asking a bit too much. I don't know. I guess, yeah, that would be a bit more of a task for them to really take Fallout 1 and 2 and update it a bit. That's a big deal, and really, I don't know, because most people nowadays, especially, you know, young people that are into Fallout, they're into Fallout 3. A majority of people that are really, really hyped for Fallout 4 are hyped because of Fallout 3 and Fallout New Vegas. There are the old guard, like myself, that, you know, prefer the original couple games, but yeah, most people that are hyped because of Fallout 3, which is fine, I guess, but yeah, I doubt we'll ever get an updated Fallout 1 and 2, but maybe someday. But for now, I can just look at my mini nuke and occasionally press the little button. Alright, Blizzard announced a new Hearthstone expansion this week, the Grand Tournament, and so they're going to be, they kind of did like a Twitch event, I believe. Well, they did an event in San Francisco, but it was also live streamed, of course, because, you know, it's 2015. And so they revealed a bunch of cards, and they'll be revealing a bunch more, but they say that this is apparently coming out in August, so it's fairly soon. And this is not going to be an adventure, this is going to be more like Goblins versus Gnomes, so it's just going to be a whole bunch of cards, and a new board, and I think that's about it. So yeah, if you're into Hearthstone, you'll probably, you know, end up buying into this shit. Although it's not an adventure, so it's not like you... Which really, it's kind of an archaic model, to be honest. If you look at something, and I don't really want to go into like board gaming and card gaming and stuff like that, but it is kind of relevant. You know, if you're into modern physical card games, Fantasy Flight Games, and a couple other companies now, they released this model, which actually Fantasy Flight has a trademark on. It's called a living card game, in which case it's different than the trading card games of old. The trading card games of old, aka something like Magic the Gathering, which is what Hearthstone is more based on, is you buy booster packs. You buy just, I mean, for me this was more a Pokemon thing because I never played Magic the Gathering, but you'd buy booster packs, which would have random cards. And in Hearthstone, I don't remember how it was for Magic. Yeah, I don't know how it is for Magic or anything like that. But in Hearthstone, you buy a booster pack, a card pack, which has 5 cards in it, and one of them is guaranteed to be rare or better. So you always get, okay, something better than just shit. But it's Hearthstone, so it's usually shit. But, you know, it would always just be random. You would really never know what you were going to get. And this is how it was when I would buy Pokemon booster packs and stuff like that. You would just never know, and you'd spend so much money. And really, most gaming stores in America and many other places they live off of just Magic the Gathering booster packs, because people just spend hundreds and hundreds of dollars so they can get all the cards. The living card game model, though, that Fantasy Flight and other companies have now is they sell packs of cards, but you know ahead of time every single card that is going to be in that pack. Every single pack is exactly the same, and they just keep releasing them in cycles, and you know exactly what you're getting, and each pack for, say, you know, Netrunner comes with 3 of each card, so that you have everything you need for deck building. And so this is kind of the newer model that a lot of people appreciate a lot more because there's no randomness to it. You know exactly what you're getting. And you can focus more on just the deck building and the playing aspect than just, oh shit, he's got this rare card, I don't. It's just, oh, it's so bullshit. So, I don't know. Hearthstone just feels more archaic than that. To get all of the cards now from this new expansion, of which there are 130... who knows how many packs you might have to buy. I mean, somebody could calculate the median average of how many card packs you'd have to buy to most likely get you all 130 cards, but it's a lot of money. You can, of course, buy packs with gold. You can earn them, but, you want to stay competitive, so you want to get the new cards, which are generally better because of power creep, and, it's just... apparently, Blizzard is offering a deal right now where if you pre-purchase like 50 packs or something like that for the new expansion, you get like an exclusive card back, which is just like, I mean, do you hear the words coming out of my mouth? Come on. So yeah, if you're into Hearthstone, there you go. Spend your money, spend your gold. But yeah. In other news, speaking of older games getting updates, I probably should have linked those two better. Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic 2 apparently just got a huge update on PC, Mac, and Linux. Keeping in mind, this game is over 10 years old now. And the patch includes 37 achievements to be earned, support for Steam cloud saves, native widescreen resolution support up to 4K and 5K, support for controllers, including Xbox 360, Xbox One, PS3, and PS4, along with others, Steam Workshop support, and apparently a force speed effects option in the menu. Like, Jesus, man. Native widescreen resolution support and up to 4K resolution. That's insane. Think about how many old games you would love to have that on. I don't know what it looks like at 5K. I'm curious, but it's just really cool that in today's day and age, nowadays, with everything's digital, online, connected, we can get these big updates for games, I mean, this is obviously just a PC kind of thing. Nobody's going to be updating my copy of Earthbound on my Super Nintendo, but it's just cool that we can keep things somewhat relevant, and the fact that they're actually bothering to do this. Like, they could easily never touch Knights of the Old Republic 2 again, and nobody would be surprised, and nobody would really care, I guess. I mean, the game is as it is, but no, they actually took the time to put in achievements and support for Steam Cloud, controller support, widescreen support, and workshop support. It's really impressive. So, with that in mind, yes, perhaps Fallout 1 and 2 could be updated. Now, of course, for years and years, we've had community support for all sorts of retro games and stuff like that. People releasing widescreen support and mods and things like that. But the fact that official developers and stuff like that are going through official systems and updating it themselves, and take the community support into their minds when they're doing this, it's really cool. It's nice to see. Now, that wasn't was it Black Isle? No, it wasn't Black Isle, was it? Obsidian? I think Obsidian did that, right? They did Knights of the Old Republic 2. Yes, it was Obsidian. BioWare handled the first one. Obsidian handled the second one. The second one is arguably better. Obsidian did not handle this update. They it was handled by Aspire Media, I guess. But you got to imagine it was it was authorized in some fashion by Obsidian. But anyways, it's all cool. That's very cool. So maybe someday soon I'll go back to Knights of the Old Republic 2, because I did enjoy that quite a bit. Okay, and then final video game news bit is, of course, since it's what I do, is bashing on the Wii U a bit. Why not beat that old horse? Slightly Mad Studios, who developed Project Cars, which came out in May for PS4, PC, and Xbox One, and was working on a port of it to the Wii U, has now announced that it is canceled. The whole project for Wii U is scrapped because the Wii U is not powerful enough. Bandai Namco, the publisher of Project Cars, put out a statement saying, despite much perseverance on the Wii U version of Project Cars, we will no longer be actively pursuing development on it, as the quality does not meet our own high standards nor our intended vision for the title on this platform. We eagerly look forward to any announcement of further hardware from Nintendo, but right now Project Cars is simply too much for Wii U despite our very best efforts. Apologies to our Nintendo fans out there that have been waiting for further news on this but have no desire to release a product that isn't at the very least comparable with our highest rated versions on other platforms. We optimistically look forward, therefore, to what the future may hold. So, there's two bits that I want to talk about here. The first part is the fact that the Wii U is just not powerful enough to handle modern games. Now, Project Cars is, it's definitely, as far as from a tech standpoint, a bit higher end than something akin to, say, Super Smash Brothers. I mean, there's a lot more going into it than something like that. But I guess they had gotten Project Cars to run at 23 frames per second at 720p on the Wii U, and that was just unacceptable to them. So they actually had to scrap the whole project for Wii U. Like, that's not an easy decision, I imagine, but I can't blame them. Because it would just get shit reviews, and probably more importantly, not many people would buy it regardless, even if it had gotten up to standards. I don't know why they would have bothered. I don't know why they bothered to even begin working on it for the Wii U. Which is kind of the whole point. It's kind of the whole point. The Wii U is just not up to snuff. And so other developers see this then. They see that, there's this history of developers trying to work for the Wii U and just be like, shit, it can't handle it. It's not on the same level as the other systems. Now, most developers know that, I think. They know that the Wii U is not comparable, but, they still maybe hope that they could get it to work, but Slightly Mad Studios couldn't get it to comparable levels. And that hurts the Wii U. People can say all day that, the Wii U, it doesn't matter about specification, it matters about fun. And it's okay, that's great, but you need third-party developers working on your system. They need games coming out for it. We've never had a system that was just purely first party. It's never happened. Because it's ridiculous. Not that the Wii U is that. There are third-party games for it. But it's, I think, as close as we've ever had. Except maybe for, like, the Dreamcast or something. But even then, I don't think so. So, yeah, it's unfortunate. The other part, then, is a line here from Bandai Namco that says, "We eagerly look forward to any announcement of further hardware from Nintendo." Which was kind of surprising. The fact that Bandai Namco, which is not a small company, has not heard any announcement from Nintendo about new hardware. Now, maybe at some point in the higher-ups, they know a bit about it, but from the sounds of it, they're not working at anything for the NX. Now, the NX is, a little less than a year away from being announced. So I guess I can't be shocked. Well, I don't know. I guess it just, I don't know, it seems strange then. It feels like another disconnect between Nintendo and third parties. When Nintendo shows off the NX next year, what are they exactly going to be showing off? I gotta think they're going to be showing off Zelda. They'll probably show off some Mario shit. And, yeah, what third-party stuff are they going to be showing off? Oh, man. It's a rough road. And I know I bash on Nintendo every single week. And nobody's really shocked by any of this news. But I guess the third part is that Bandai Namco's like, yeah, the Wii U really sucks. We're waiting to hear what they got next. Which I think is kind of the industry thought at this point. Is the Wii U is dead in the water. Bring us something that's comparable to everything else, Nintendo, and then we'll talk. Yeah. So for now, I guess we just gotta we play what we got on the Wii U. And then, Star Fox will come out, and then we just kind of wait. Alright, let's move on to movie stuff. In another piece of news, then, that will shock nobody, Jurassic World 2 has been officially announced, with a release date of June 22nd, 2018, and Chris Pratt and Bryce Dallas Howard will be returning as the lead cast. Again, surprising nobody. See, it's really all it ever comes down to is money. That's it. The only reason you ever see a sequel is because the first movie made a lot of money. That's it. That's all it ever comes down to. I think Jurassic World, it would have had to have been really atrocious for it not to get a sequel. I don't think anybody would have been shocked if they announced this sequel before the movie even came out. Now, yeah, Jurassic Park 3 obviously did not do that well, which is why we didn't get a 4. Well, I guess we didn't get a 4 for a long time. But this Jurassic World was always intended to kind of relaunch the whole series. This was not kind of like, let's put it out there and hope it doesn't fail. This was not going to fail. This was a big deal. A lot of people have been waiting a long time for this. And, it lived up to pretty much everything. The question then I have, personally, is what the hell is the plot going to be like? I'll recap everything for you. Jurassic Park, the original. The plot was this wealthy, eccentric man had kind of pioneered, not really cloning, I guess, but the reintroduction of dinosaurs into modern-day life, and so he decided what he wanted to do was open a theme park with the dinosaurs, and so he brought a couple of paleontologists, so on and so forth, and for some reason Jeff Goldblum, to check it out. Shit goes wrong, and the whole project is kind of a big failure. Jurassic Park 2, Jeff Goldblum returns, and it takes place a few years after the first movie, and it takes place on a different island, I believe. The first one takes place on Isla Nublar. I have to look this up because I don't want to say... Yes, first one takes place on Isla Nublar. And the second one takes place on Isla Sorna. And I guess the plot was... I actually have no idea of how the dinosaurs got on the second island. I don't remember. But anyways, dinosaurs on the second one. And a bunch of corporate men want to go to the island and kind of gather up the dinosaurs and make some money off of it. So Jeff Goldblum gets sent there as kind of a counter team to... Well, he actually goes there to rescue his girlfriend and... blah, 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 blah. Shit goes wrong. T-Rex ends up in San Francisco or whatever the hell it was. The whole thing's just a big mess. And Isla Sorna is kind of just declared a nature preserve. And it's just kind of left as it is. So now Isla Nublar and Isla Sorna just kind of have dinosaurs roaming around. The third movie... goes back to Isla Sorna, so still not Isla Nublar. So the second and third movie take place on the same island, and this guy and his ex-wife, I guess, they have a son who's just kind of parasailing around Isla Sorna, and he gets lost there. And so the guy and his ex-wife basically trick Dr. Alan Grant into going to the island, even though they don't realize that he had gone to Isla Nublar and not Isla Sorna. Shit ensues in Isla Sorna, which, again, is just kind of a nature preserve. Nobody really messes with it, but I believe, like, the Cuban government or whatever makes sure nobody flies over it, but they ignore that. Shit goes wrong, of course, because it's Jurassic Park, and they eventually make their way out of there alive. And thus time went on. Jurassic World takes place on Isla Nublar. I'm almost certain. Let me double check because I want to make sure. Yes, it does take place on Isla Nublar. Same island. So I guess they kind of just went there like, hey, shit, there's dinosaurs here. We can make some serious dosh. And so they used all their modern tech and blah, blah, blah. They wrangled up everything. They made some new dinosaurs, and they made the biggest, bestest theme park ever. And this time, it's actually operating. People, I guess, kind of... I imagine that there was a lot of cover-ups. In this movie universe, there was probably a lot of cover-ups with the original kind of disaster at Jurassic Park. And... yeah, there was a dinosaur in, like, San Francisco, but that was just kind of a freak accident. That didn't affect the whole theme park idea. So, Jurassic World actually opened. There are people there. There's the whole park, and everything's operational. It's all good, but of course, shit hits the fan. And it's up to Chris Pratt to save the day. He pretty much saves the day, more or less. But Jurassic World is kind of done with. The dinosaurs are everywhere, the park is just kind of trashed, and it's back to kind of being a nature reserve, more or less. Where do they go from there? I think there is absolutely no way in that movie universe that they could ever cover up the Jurassic World incident. Because you had a lot of people there, and with a lot of cell phone cameras, and just... No, that's not being covered up. There's no way. So, I think nobody in their right mind would ever bankroll another dinosaur-themed amusement park. It's not happening. So, what can you do for a plot then? You could go back to something akin... Like, I feel like no matter what they do, it's tough to not retread. You know, it's tough to not touch on anything that's already been touched upon. Because they've done kind of everything now. They did the theme park before it opened. They did the theme park as it was open. They did kind of the nature reserve thing. They did the rescuing from the dinosaur nature reserve thing. They did the dinosaur in the big city. So I guess really the big angle that they could work on is the sort of military aspect. Because that was kind of involved in Jurassic World, was the fact that the military wanted to use velociraptors in sort of a field, as sort of a field agent, which is just, it's so retarded. For me to even say it, it's so retarded. They're freaking raptors, man. They're not domesticated. It's not like using dogs to sniff out drugs or something. They're raptors. But I guess they could try to work on that. Maybe the military's like, these dinosaurs just tore our men to shreds. What if we dropped one of these, what it was even called, the Indominus Rex or whatever. What if we dropped one of those into Afghanistan or some shit? That might be a cool angle, where Chris Pratt's just like, hey, this is fucked up. I'm gonna stop this. I don't know. That might be a cool angle. I could see that working. Although, really, the most likely thing is something in China. To be perfectly honest, the most likely is something in China. China is the second largest box office market in the world. And a lot of movie companies are trying to appeal to China as much as possible. Because if you piss off China, which is pretty easy, to piss off China with a movie, it's pretty easy. Then you lose a lot of money. If you appeal to China, you make a lot of money, but you don't also piss off Americans. Because Americans don't really care. Which is why the newest Transformers movie appealed a lot to China. Like, a big chunk of the plot took place in China. And, that movie made a huge amount of money in China. So, more movies are going to kind of go down that route. So, I would not be shocked to see Jurassic World 2 doing something with that. But, honestly, I don't know what the plot is going to... I don't know. Kudos to the writers for whatever they can come up with. But I think I wouldn't be angry at the military really using dinosaurs as something like that. It's just sort of some advanced warfare shit. It's absolutely ridiculous, but I think it would be kind of cool. So yeah, maybe they use velociraptors as just killing machines, and Chris Pratt just gets so pissed off. I don't know. But yeah, I would like to see velociraptors just going ape shit all over some foreign country, because jingoism, man, yeah. And they would like paint the velociraptors with like an American flag on the side of them. Oh, so cool. Anyways, moving on. There's been a mention by Bryan Singer, who's directed a lot of X-Men stuff and other stuff. He mentioned the possibility of an X-Men Fantastic Four crossover. Okay. X-Men is completely handled by 20th Century Fox. They picked up the film rights for the X-Men characters in like 1994 or something, when Marvel was like, sure, go ahead. Give us money, we'll give you the rights. Good luck with that. Nowadays, Marvel's like, fuck. What were we thinking? So, yeah, 20th Century Fox has rights to X-Men. And they also picked up the rights, I think even further back than that. It was like the 80s, or I don't know when that was. They picked up the rights to Fantastic Four. There was an unreleased, well, no, it wasn't unreleased, it wasn't put into theaters, Fantastic Four movie in like 1995, I think. 1994. And it was kind of produced by Roger Corman, and it was just kind of low budget and campy as hell, and just, it was like a $1 million budget movie, and it was never put into theaters, and really it was only made so that they could extend their license. because they needed to make something, otherwise they lost the license. 2005 then brought the Fantastic Four movie that everybody knows about, which was just a disaster critically. Like, it was just shit on. But it made a lot of money. It made like $300 million, which it's quite a bit of money. A bunch of money, and so, of course, then it got its sequel, which was just also a disaster. And things sat for a while, and now we're getting a new Fantastic Four movie in 2 weeks, I think. And so they're both under 20th Century Fox. And so it would, of course, be very simple for 20th Century Fox to be like, okay, we got these characters, you there, writer, put them together, do it! So here's the thing. Marvel Studios has the Marvel Cinematic Universe. This really started with X-Men, although I guess technically it started with the Incredible Hulk. I guess. But really Iron Man. And from then on, every single Marvel Studio movie has been under this cinematic universe. So this has been Iron Man, this has been Thor, Captain America, the Avengers, Ant-Man. All of this has just been under this one blanket. And so every movie then that Marvel comes out, it fits into this universe, and it encourages people to see every movie. Because they people that are just a fan of this universe be like, oh, well, Ant-Man is part of this universe now, so we want to see that to see how it fits in, and it all fits together. It's so cool. So Marvel has really just capitalized on this whole concept. And DC was like, shit, what are we doing? We have Batman. We need more than Batman. So they made Man of Steel, which was the first movie in the DC cinematic universe. And, which I guess makes sense. If you're going to start the DC cinematic universe, it might as well be with Superman. And so now we have Batman vs. Superman coming out, and we have Suicide Squad, and we have the Justice League, and Aquaman, and Flash, and Green Lantern, and all this coming together to make the DC cinematic universe. And it all makes a whole lot of sense. They're a bit late to the party, but I think they'll still be able to make some money off of it. It makes sense. They're the two halves of the same coin. You have the DC, you have the Marvel, it all makes sense. But then you also have 20th Century Fox, and you have Sony. 20th Century Fox has it has Fantastic Four. It has X-Men. X-Men has been doing pretty damn well for itself as kind of just a standalone thing. Every X-Men movie tends to make quite a bit of money, and they've been happy with it. But now they also, they wanted to do Fantastic Four, and I think they did Fantastic Four so that they could get in on this kind of combined universe. Because there is a lot of potential there for plenty of money. So, yeah, I'm not shocked at all that they want to combine the licenses that they do have into making their own little universe. I think I'm double checking here, but I'm pretty sure the Deadpool is also 20th Century Fox. I'm double checking. It is, yes. Deadpool's also 20th Century Fox. So, with Deadpool, then you bring on, like, the X-Force. I think that they do have the rights to X-Force. I'm not certain, but I believe that was mentioned. So, yeah, I can see them kind of trying to combine all that into their own cinematic universe, but I don't think it has nearly as much pull as the Marvel and DC stuff. Because a lot of people don't really... the majority of people, I don't think really kind of... They don't really think about it. I think to, a large majority of the population, it's all kind of the same thing. Like, a lot of people, I think, would... If they don't look into it, they're like, why aren't X-Men in the Avengers movies? And if you go to even a lower level than that, I guess he's like, why isn't Wolverine in the Batman vs. Superman movie? It's bullshit. I don't know. I don't know if that's ever been said, but I wouldn't doubt it. So I don't know really how much capitalizing they could do. Like, think about an X-Force movie. How well could that really do? I guess it depends on Deadpool. I guess if Deadpool does very well, which it could, it definitely could do pretty well. I mean, it's not going to be on the same level as an Iron Man or anything like that. I just don't see it, especially being R. But then you bring out an X-Force movie, and you pretty much need kind of Deadpool leading it, or, you know, as kind of the main attraction to it. I don't know. But I guess I also have my huge doubts about Suicide Squad, but that has the Joker in it, which is a big force. I don't know. So, yeah, the X-Men Fantastic Four thing, the Bryan Singer said, those ideas are in play. That would be a natural matchup because they're both ensemble films, and there's a natural mechanism by which to do it. It deals with time. That's all I'm going to say. I assume something along timelines. But the Fantastic Four comics, movies, all about that, has kind of all been a bit more based around science than other comic book series. It's been very science-oriented. So, yeah, I mean, I could see Reed Richards, you know, developing some sort of interdimensional thing, and they travel to another kind of parallel timeline, and then boom, there's Wolverine, and so on and so forth. So, yeah, I can see it wouldn't be a stretch to make it work. And if Fantastic Four does very well, which I think it'll do pretty well. And X-Men, of course, is huge. So, yeah, I could see it happening. I could see it making some money. I need to see the new Fantastic Four to decide if I really want to see it, but, you know. I guess if it is a total bomb, then 20th Century Fox is a little screwed. They just keep making X-Men movies and they shut their mouths. Alright, moving on. Now we're going to start getting into some weird news. Rob McElhenney, I'm not pronouncing that correctly. Mac from Always Sunny in Philadelphia. Shut up. Yeah, Mac has been announced as the director for the Minecraft film. You're either being surprised by one or two things. You're either being surprised that he's directing it, since he's never directed a movie before, or you're surprised that there's a Minecraft movie coming out. I'm not sure if I even knew there was a Minecraft movie coming out when I read this article. So yeah, let's first talk about him directing it, I guess. He's directed like 2 episodes of Always Sunny, and a pilot for an FX series called Pariah. And I guess he's trying to develop his own kind of family action movie called Figment. But really, he's not done a whole lot of directing. And he's put in charge of the Minecraft movie. That's a lot of pressure. Yeah, I don't know. Well, I guess we kind of have to talk about the project as a whole. Really, you shouldn't be surprised that they're making a Minecraft movie. And really, I wasn't that surprised. Minecraft is... It's so big. It's so big! It's just a juggernaut, man. All my nieces and nephews, they all play Minecraft. It's all Minecraft. Like, my 4-year-old nephew plays Minecraft on his tablet. It's ridiculous. And so, at my very first thought was, well, that's just gonna be shit. Like, how is that gonna work? But then I remembered there was a little movie called The Lego Movie. Remember that? Who would have thought you could have made a movie about Legos? But that ended up being very big, making quite a bit of money, and being pretty critically acclaimed. 96% on Rotten Tomatoes is not too shabby. And it made $468 million. So, yeah, it did pretty damn well for itself. And I thought there was going to be a sequel. I think they were working on that. Yes, May 18th, 2018 is the date for the sequel. So, yeah, I didn't think that a Lego movie would work out, but look at that. So, yeah, Minecraft movie could potentially work. What would the plot be? I don't know. Like if you would have asked me what should the plot be for a Lego movie, it's like I don't know. People build things out of Legos. I don't know, and that's basically the plot of the Lego movie. There's more to it than that, but yeah, it's. And I saw the Lego movie in theaters, and I thought it was all right. I mean, I don't really love kids movies, nor do I love animated movies, but I thought it was all right. So I guess that's quite a bit of praise coming from me. People have been kind of spitballing ideas for the Minecraft movie, saying that a guy like finds himself in the Minecraft universe, and I don't know. Actually, I have no idea, because it's like it's so similar to the Lego movie, really. Do you make it kind of like an adventure movie? You know, where it's kind of you're trekking across and you're going underground, and you have like a cast of characters, and they're fighting skeletons and creepers, and I don't know. Do you focus more on kind of the building aspect, but how does that work? Who's really your villain? Like, who's the main villain of Minecraft? Isn't it like a dragon or some shit like that? I don't know. I'm not too knowledgeable. There's like a main boss to Minecraft. There's something. I'm not even gonna look it up. I don't care. There's something. Anyways, yeah. So I imagine it's gonna be animated. Like, why? How could it not be? But then it's like, are they gonna really make it like good looking, or are they gonna keep it to more Minecraft aesthetics? If you depart from the Minecraft aesthetics too much, it's like, well, how is this Minecraft? This just seems like, you know, they can't stray from the kind of blockiness. Like, they can't turn it into looking like Skyrim or something like that. So it's kind of still has to stay blocky. So, yeah, it's got to be an animated movie. So, directing an animated movie can't be that difficult. Directing any movie can't be that difficult. It's all in the writer. But this is coming from somebody that has written screenplays. Anyways, so yeah, I'm sure he'll do fine, because most directors do fine. Really, it's just kind of the writing and all that, so yeah, we'll see. Disney. Yeah, Disney has been announcing some shit recently, right? They've been announcing a lot of stuff that just, I don't know, mixed opinions. Last week I talked about Genie, which was a prequel to Aladdin, live action, which is gonna just be a disaster. This week they announced another live-action remake of Sword in the Stone. Sword in the Stone is a fantastic movie that I think is it's underrepresented in today's world. I don't hear nearly enough kids talking about Sword in the Stone. You know, Beauty and the Beast, of course, always gets thrown around. Lion King, sure. Aladdin, yeah, but Sword in the Stone is the shit, man. And it's it's a very familiar story. I'll admit that. It's not really an original thing. It's the story of a young King Arthur, and Merlin's in there, and there's a lot of familiar kind of characters there, and he pulls a sword from the stone and he's crowned king. Now, obviously, it's a kid's movie, and, you know, there's kidsy stuff going on, but yeah, it's familiar as compared to something like, I guess Pinocchio. I mean, that was a story, right? Or Beauty and the Beast. Like, Beauty and the Beast is kind of, it is what it is. So if they do a live action remake of Sword in the Stone and they take out the singing and things like that, it's like, how can we really make that fresh? How can you make that original? I'm pretty sure we had, like, what was that movie? A Kid in King Arthur's Court or something like that, right? Like, how do we make it different from something like that? I don't know. Now I have to watch Kid in King Arthur's Court. But yeah, so let me recap here of everything that Disney is kind of working on. Sword in the Stone, Jungle Book, with Scarlett Johansson and Idris Elba, Mulan, Genie, Pete's Dragon with Bryce Dallas Howard and Robert Redford, Alice Through the Looking Glass with Mia Wasikowska and Johnny Depp, Beauty and the Beast with Emma Watson and Dan Stevens, Winnie the Pooh, Pinocchio, Tink with Reese Witherspoon, a film version of the Fantasia sequence called A Night on Bald Mountain, Maleficent 2, there's also The Huntsman, and apparently a live-action Little Mermaid. Yeah. So that's what's in our future. So we have comic book movies and Disney remakes in live action. Okay. Okay. There's not really much else for me to say. It's one of those things. You know, it's kind of like Big Trouble in Little China when I talked all about that, where it's like, I don't really approve of all this. I know why they're doing it, because there's only one reason to do anything in Hollywood, and that's money. So I know why they're doing it. I don't really approve of it, but I think history will kind of tell the tale. Like, when I'm older, am I going to be showing my kids the Sword in the Stone animated film from the 60s, or am I going to be showing them the live-action remake? I feel like I already know the answer to that, but I will withhold judgment. Speaking of sequels and remakes and blah, 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 LeBron James. Now, I don't know almost anything about sports. I'm not here to talk to you about sports. We're not going to get into that. That would be a train wreck. LeBron James is apparently a basketball player. I've heard of him. I've heard the name. Maybe you have as well. But if not, he's a basketball player. Apparently, some say he's decent. And he has like an entertainment company. He has his own entertainment company. And they've apparently locked into a deal with Warner Brothers that will see the two companies coordinate on TV, film, and original digital content projects. They don't mention any like potential titles coming out or anything like that, anything they want to work on. But it's been talked about for a while how there have been attempts by a few different production companies to get Mr. LeBron James to star in a sequel or a reboot of Space Jam. Now, Space Jam came out in 1996, starring Michael Jordan, very unlikely, and featured the Looney Tunes teaming up with Michael Jordan to take down a bunch of aliens who had stolen the talent of a bunch of famous basketball players, and it was up to Michael Jordan and the team to take them down in a grand slam jam basketball game for the fate of all mankind or something. I don't know. I haven't seen it in a while. And Space Jam had a wonderful soundtrack, And it was, I mean, when you were a kid, I did not give two shits about Michael Jordan. Like, I never watched anything basketball. I probably barely knew who he was. But I freaking loved Space Jam. So it was a big deal when I was a kid. And anybody, like, you talk to anybody my age, and you start singing the Space Jam theme song, they're gonna respond. I mean, come on and slam. Come on and slam. And welcome to the jam. So, it was a big deal. So I'm not surprised at all that they want to make a sequel. It's just, this was brought up by, me and my friends were just talking about this recently. Like I said, I don't know, it came out when I was like 5 or 6, I think. And I didn't know anything about Michael Jordan. Okay? I didn't know anything about him. I guess I knew he was a basketball player, maybe. But I saw the movie and I freaking loved it. But I don't know what, like, the climate was among people like myself nowadays, or among, you know, critics or anything like that. I don't know what people were saying about the concept of Michael Jordan starring in a kids' movie with animated Looney Tunes. I don't know what people were saying. And then the movie came out, and it was not well received critically. Most people kind of shit on it. But it opened at number 1, made over $230 million, and it's the highest grossing basketball movie of all time. It made plenty of money. So it really shocks me that there wasn't a sequel. If that happened in today's market, it would get a sequel. Perhaps complications with Michael Jordan. I don't know. Maybe he didn't want to do it. I don't know. So the point was, though, I don't know what people were saying about Michael Jordan starring in this movie, but it worked out. So I can't say then how I feel about LeBron James starring in the movie, because I feel like that might be like very similar attitudes. Like, people shit all over Michael Jordan as an actor, just like people are shitting all over LeBron James as an actor. And apparently a lot of people are referencing his role in Trainwrecks or whatever it's called, the Amy Schumer movie that just came out. Apparently he plays himself in the movie, and people enjoyed his role as himself. I don't know. I don't know. So, I don't know. I guess, again, it's one of those things. It's just like, it's the same thing where it's like, I want to say I don't approve, but I understand why they would want to make it, but I think history will tell the tale. Will I show my kids the original Space Jam or LeBron James Space Jam? It's just, again, I feel like I already know the answer. But to my kids, maybe it wouldn't, like, if they don't know who either is, if they don't know who Michael Jordan or LeBron James is, maybe it can stand on its own. But I feel like you're going into this market where I feel like your primary market is people that loved the first movie. People my age now that saw it when they were kids and freaking loved it. And so that's a hell of a lot of pressure then. Especially since, I don't know, I don't think LeBron James is as loved as Michael Jordan was. But again, that's speaking to somebody that doesn't know anything about sports. But again, history will tell the tale. Alright, finally then, the weirdest news of the day, because there's always got to be something. Sony apparently won a 3-way bid war against Warner Brothers and Paramount for a pitch for a movie that revolves around emoji. Yeah. Yep. You heard that all correctly. Emoji. If you don't know what emoji is, you do know what emoji is, but maybe you're not familiar with the term. Maybe you're not. emoji are basically smiley faces. I mean, that's an oversimplification, but any of those little, usually yellow, smiley faces and expressions and all sorts of like little figures and little piles of poop and thumbs up and all that, all those little symbols that are sometimes used in Skype or texting or whatever, those are all emoji. And now Sony wants to make a movie based around emoji. Boy, oh boy. I mean, you're scraping the bottom of the barrel. As far as ideas go, you are scraping the bottom of the barrel. Like, I know people said that about, like, when they made Battleship into a movie. Or when they were talking about asteroids into a movie, but no. Those are at least, okay. Like, Battleship, you can kind of, like, they went crazier than I thought they would. But it's like, okay, you have something there. But emojis? But again, I guess, go back to the Lego movie. But even there, I think Lego has, like, there's something there. Like, people do stuff with Legos. They build things. Like, oh, okay, so people build with Legos. We can work around the whole building aspect. What if everything's made out of Legos and they're all building? What do emojis do? They're just little images that just have expressions. How do you make a movie out of that? How is that different than a normal, like, like, oh, there goes angry face. Oh, and he's got a pile of poop on his shoulder with eyes. Oh, that character, he's something. He's just so wacky. Good God. I don't know. Like, if somebody came, like, we're going to pay you $3 million. We want you to write a movie about emoji. I mean, I would take the money, but I have no idea where I would even begin with that. What a monumental task that is. Jesus. Apparently they're also making a movie about Play-Doh. But even Play-Doh, I feel like there's a bit more to it. Because it's like, it's akin to something like the Lego movie. But Play-Doh is, you can go claymation with it. Because it's all kind of clay. So, that's something, I guess. Emoji, I have no idea. I don't know. I don't know, man. Emoji. I can't even make that shit up. Alright, then finally, since I saved the reviews for last, I always spend so little time with it, but I would like to say a couple things about Ant-Man, because I did see it this week. And, I feel like it's another one of those things where it's like, you probably know whether or not you want to see Ant-Man or not. I didn't know really anything about Ant-Man. I've never read any of his comics or anything. I know the basics, but yeah, I didn't really know much. And Ant-Man stars Paul Rudd. And Paul Rudd is really a comedic actor. I don't think he's done a whole lot of serious stuff. And I'm not a fan of comedy movies pretty much at all, so I've seen very, very little with Paul Rudd. I think the only thing I've seen with him is Anchorman, and he's not really a huge part of that. So no, I've not seen much with Paul Rudd, so I was like, I mean, I guess we'll see how it goes. And so I feel like Ant-Man's kind of conflicted, because on the one hand, it really wants to be a kind of a comedy, but that does not work. Like, that would have never happened. Because comedy super movies are just like, you end up with stuff like Blank Man. Like, it's just, nah. So it's just a Marvel movie that wants to try to be a comedy, but that only really works when it's blended well. Something like, say, Iron Man, you know, or the Avengers. You know, you have something where it's like, it's lighthearted comedy. And you have actors that really kind of just get to be themselves and just kind of throw out funny things, and it's humorous on its own. Whereas I feel Ant-Man tries to step a bit too far into the just, we want to be kind of a comedy realm. The trailers for Ant-Man kind of give away most of the really funny bits. which is almost really more based on physical comedy than anything. A lot of the lines that are spoken that are meant to be like, here, laugh now. It's just like, I don't know. Ant-Man itself, I really do like it. Like, I really like the whole concept of Ant-Man, like his powers and all that. That is the best part of the movie for me, was the fighting scenes and him learning to use his powers and kind of stuff like that. Like, I really did. I like the whole concept of Ant-Man. So if you dig that, the idea of a guy just going down to insect size and riding on flying ants and knocking people out with this tiny little invisible punch that you can't even see him. Like, if you dig all that, you'll probably like Ant-Man, because there's that's in there. It's enjoyable. The special effects, all that is really well done, and it's very cool. The rest of the movie is just kind of like, get back to the cool shit. I feel that a lot with Ant-Man, whereas opposed, something like Iron Man, I like when he's in the Iron Man suit and he's blowing shit up and he's doing all that, but I also just love when just Tony Stark is being Tony Stark. I don't feel the same way about Scott Lang, He just seems like kind of just a guy. He's not that memorable. Ant-Man is memorable, but Scott Lang, Paul Rudd, yeah. So yeah, he does a serviceable job, but I feel like they could have put a lot of people into that role and it would have been all right. Now, I get a lot of people like Paul Rudd, but so maybe it's just that they didn't let him be himself as much as he could have been. I don't know, hard to say. Michael Douglas plays Hank Pym, who is the original Ant-Man, and he kind of plays a bit of a mentor role. Again, he does as good as you're gonna get. The role is not that crazy. He doesn't do much. He just kind of says things to Paul Rudd and like, oh, I'm gonna tell you some stuff. And he can do it. He must do it. He's the only one. And blah blah. It's Michael Douglas, and he does fine. There's nothing crazy there. Evangeline Lilly plays Hank Pym's daughter, Hope. And this honestly made me laugh to myself once I finally realized it. I honestly laughed. There is a term in Japanese media in manga and anime and stuff like that for a specific type of character. And they call it tsundere, I think. I'm probably butchering it a little bit, but it's something like that. Tsundere. And it describes a character that is initially very cold and kind of hostile to the protagonist, but eventually over time that coldness kind of washes away and you get a very warm interior. And that's tsundere. And that describes Evangeline Lilly's character 100% perfectly. As soon as we meet her, she's just like a stone cold ice bitch. She really just hates Paul Rudd. She punches him in the face. It's just like, wow, what's wrong with you? But then at the end of the movie, they're making out. Like that, it's just so ridiculous. She's not really a very interesting character. They try to throw in emotional stuff and daddy issues and things like that, but it's just like, I'm here to see Ant-Man kick ass. I'm sorry. Yeah, so that's that. And then finally, probably the weakest part of the whole movie is the villain. Corey Stoll plays Darren Cross, who eventually dons the Yellow Jacket suit. I'm sorry if that's a spoiler. Go screw yourself. And the Yellow Jacket suit is basically, it's Ant-Man. It's Ant-Man's powers, but he also gets lasers. So he's slightly better than Ant-Man. But it's up to Ant-Man to beat him. And he's the worst part of the movie because it's just an uninteresting villain. He's an uninteresting villain out of the suit because he really has just the weakest justification for his villainous actions. And he's a weak villain inside the suit because he's basically the exact same thing. That being said, I did think the final fight, the final sequences between Iron Man and Yellow Jacket are some of the best in the movie because it's just really freaking cool. But that could have been cool with anything. But outside of the suit, Darren Cross just being as a villain is just so weak. It's just kind of like, well, you know, I'm evil because... I don't know, go fuck yourself, I'm evil. It's just... Marvel has a lot of issues with that across a lot of their movies of just having uninteresting, boring villains. Sometimes they do well. Sometimes they have things like... I find Loki somewhat interesting. He got a little played out after a while, but somewhat interesting villain. I think Thanos could be a pretty good villain. But then you also have stuff like Iron Man 3's villain. You have Guy Pearce. Or you have the bad guy from Guardians of the Galaxy. Like, what was his motivation, really? I don't even remember. He was just purple and he was evil. So, kind of like X-Men. Apocalypse. It's just... You have DC villains. Well, actually, really, DC only has their one incredible villain, and that's Joker. And so I think, like, Joker sets, like, the gold standard for comic book villains. But really, I guess it's kind of an issue across comic books as well, where it's just... Villains rarely get a really good treatment that they deserve, because they're just meant to be defeated, and that's the end of it. So you don't really want to sympathize with that. Marvel does have a very good villain in the form of Doctor Doom, but they'll probably mess that up in Fantastic Four, so it doesn't really matter because he's not really part of the cinematic universe, so blah, blah, blah. Yeah, so Ant-Man, it was good. It's not the worst Marvel Cinematic Universe movie. It's not the best. It's kind of middle of the road. I can see a sequel happening, and I would go see it, of course, because I do really dig his powers and the suit and all that, and I thought Paul Rudd did okay. So there was like a bit in the movie about like quantum reality and things like that, and there's like science-y stuff, but it's kind of a stretch. It was alright. It passed the phone test, where I never looked at my phone during the movie, so it was good. The supporting characters, they were kind of the main comic relief, and I don't know if that was really a relief. And then you have Judy Greer, who was in the movie for like 30 seconds, playing the movie mom, which she's like the go-to movie mom nowadays, which is very different than a while back in Arrested Development, where she just showed her breasts every episode. Anyways, so yeah, I assume most people already know whether or not they want to see Ant-Man, but I figured I would mention it. Alright, episode's gone on a little long now, so let's wrap things up. Thanks again to all my Patreon and backers for making it all possible. I appreciate it. We're going to keep the Manggcast going and going and going. Always something to talk about. Even if it's retarded emoji bullshit. So my name is Mang. This has been the Manggcast. I'll see you fine folks next week.